come in and out of the rentable spaces. By 2004, the building did have a few tenants still using the space, including a bank and a gym. As August through October of the same year came around, though, Florida and especially the Florida coast were hit by several severe hurricanes, some of the most powerful since 1964, and some were just within weeks of each other. When the Glass Bank's exterior was changed, the added concrete and stucco were added to strengthen the building in the event of a strong storm. The amount of damage these storms took on the building was just too devastating. The damage also revealed another problem, which was a result of the building's construction methods in the era, and that was the exposure to asbestos. As a result of the damage and health concerns, all of the tenants had vacated the building. However, the windowless penthouse was practically untouched and safe from any damage inflicted by the storms, and Frank Wolf intended to continue to live in his unique apartment. As soon as all the tenants had vacated the building, the Glass Bank had become abandoned. Frank Wolf was now living on top of a rotting, decaying structure. By 2006, though, the building was doing rather well in terms of interior decay, as the majority of the ground floor's large windows were still intact. As years progressed, the building had continued to decay further, with hurricanes battering the crippled structure. However, by 2010, the owners of the bottom portion did continue to try to upkeep the building as much as possible by placing boards over the broken windows. Meanwhile, Cocoa Beach city officials took some of the first public pictures inside the widely secretive penthouse. Ownership to the building was a little mixed. A man named Joseph Yosefon owned the first, second, fifth, and half of the fourth floor. The other half of the fourth floor was owned by Frank Wolf, and a financial company owned the third floor, making all of them have different controlling stakes in the building. As the bottom structure sat abandoned, fines from the building began piling up. Despite all of the efforts to comply with the city's regulations to the exterior appearance of the building, Cocoa Beach would continue to fine the building for such minor things as using the wrong type of plywood to fill holes. Hope for the future of the iconic structure were high, and the building's owners were continuing to push for new economic developments. Plans to severely revamp the exterior of the building were made, however ultimately fell through. According to Joseph, there was high interest for tenants to come in, use the space, and fix up the building. However, it was prohibited by the city under fire concerns, among other fines.
When I had Space Cross Credit Union as a tenant with a 15-year lease, they went to get an occupational license, and the city would not issue an occupational license for a bank where a bank was there since 1964.
It didn't help that Frank Wolf continuously denied being part of the commercial building below, since he had his own hydro, water, and gas to his penthouse above. This resulted in a lawsuit filed by Joseph, claiming that he should be paying condo fees. By 2013, fines were surpassing $100,000 for the Glass Bank's owners, and Frank Wolf's weren't any better. By this time, an in-ground fence now bordered the
At least SafeLight can come to you for free.
I love my YouTube channel. Look how it works. And
that's right. SafeLight can come to you for free, so you can get your windshield fixed anywhere you want at no additional cost. For free mobile service, go to SafeLight.com.
SafeLight Repair, SafeLight Replace.
Oh, it's kind of heavier.
Yeah, I know.
The Mythbusters homemade Confederate rocket is about to shoot for the...
Once a man is past the age of 28, he may not, under any circumstances, drive through a built-up area with the roof down on his convertible car. But I have no roof. I have no choice. And what I'm saying to onlookers is, driving is my hobby. I'm very keen on it. And that's a bit like a keen angler going to work in some waders.
The difficult thing about driving a Caterham in slow-moving traffic like this is not the clutch or the gearbox or anything like that. It's that you feel a bit of a burn, if you're honest. When a lot of people will be driving past and their children will be saying, Daddy.
I guess that was always.
The Digital Circus finale is finally here, and that means it's time to finally talk about the ending to the show. Not just the ending to the overarching story, but also the individual endings for each of our characters. For those who don't remember, the penultimate episode focused on our gang of heroes trying to stop Kane from controlling their lives in the Digital Circus. Kane had a meltdown over how little the other characters actually enjoyed his adventures because, of course, they're trapped in the Digital Circus while it's his giant playground. So he decided to become the great torturer that everyone already saw him as. After making Kinger lucid by hiding him in the dark so he can properly think, he was able to reveal his part in making the amazing Digital Circus, and more specifically Kane. And with that, he was able to explain that he'd be able to access the Digital Circus code himself in order to try and stop Kane entirely. This led to Kane accidentally being deleted by Kinger, leaving our characters alone in a dark and destroyed Digital Circus, but without the threat of Kane constantly looming over them. What's important, however, is that while doing this, Kinger also found a folder containing all of the brain scans of our main characters. And this led to a huge emotional fallout in the beginning of the Digital Circus finale. This episode...
Now today we had a big contrast in temperature across the UK, just 12 degrees over coastal parts of eastern England with cloudy skies, but in the sunshine in North West Wales at RAF Mona, just up the road